What is going on, YouTube? Espresso Shucko here, and today we are going to be talking about Sceptile the Unrivaled. It has been a while since I've talked about 7-star raids, but the newest announced raid is going to be Sceptile with the Terra Dragon typing. It's going to be going live from June 28th at midnight UTC and going on until June 30th until 11:59 p.m. And then the event is going to return from July 5th at midnight UTC to July 7th at 11:59 p.m. So, Sceptile the Unrivaled. Sceptile is normally a glass cannon Pokemon. Its best quality is its speed, which honestly, that might be relatively okay for us in the raid. Sceptile's hidden ability here is Unburden. Unburden doubles your speed when you consume your held item or if the item is lost. But the thing is these raid bosses, we never see them holding an item, so I really don't see them giving Sceptile an item there. So I don't think Unburden is going to be playing a part in Sceptile's dynamic for the raid. So that's going to be a nice leg up for us as the players because we don't have to worry about Sceptile's ability giving it an advantage. Now, it's going to be nice once we catch this thing because then if we wanted to use Sceptile in battle, then we could pair this thing with a consumable item like, say, a grassy seed or electric seed, but that's beside the point and not really relevant to the raid. As far as Sceptile stats go, we have 70 HP, 85 attack, 65 defense, 105 special attack, 85 special defense, and 120 speed. Now, just spitballing it here, because that 85 attack is not the worst thing, we might see a mixed Sceptile here, so we might see a hasty nature here on the Sceptile to lower its defense to boost up its speed, but we could also see a mild nature or even maybe a lonely nature. We might see something like that to boost up either the special attack or the attack stats instead of the speed, since Sceptile does have that base 120 speed to begin with. As far as some move options go for Sceptile, what we might potentially see here is Leaf Storm, which is one of the strongest hitting attacks that Sceptile does have in its arsenal, and we might see something similar to what the 7-star Dragon type Charizard did, where it opened up the raid with an overheat and then immediately cleared its -2 debuff. We might see something similar with Leaf Storm. Sceptile might just randomly target an opponent, or rather one of our partners, and just nail it with a Leaf Storm and then immediately clear that debuff. We might see something like that. We might see Dragon Pulse here just for Sceptile to have a nice stab Dragon type option while it is terastallized. And the nice thing here too is Sceptile is not normally a Dragon type, so we don't have to worry about it having Draco Meteor to just obliterate us, so that's going to be relatively nice. And also, just kind of thinking about it, Sceptile and Charizard both get Mega Evolutions that do have the Dragon typing, so it's kind of nice to see both the Sceptile and the previous Charizard raid having the Dragon typing there for it, so kind of just a nice food for thought. As far as some coverage options go, we might see Earthquake, which is a nice base 100 ground type attack option for Sceptile. We might see Thunder Punch to get around, say, some water type Pokemon, specifically a water type Pokemon that is immune to grass type attacks named Azumarill, but we'll touch on that in a little bit. So we might see Thunder Punch potentially, but it's kind of highly unlikely. We might see Leaf Blade there too, because Leaf Blade is a base 90 grass type attack that does have a boosted critical hit ratio. Actually, Sceptile does get a few moves like that because it does get Night Slash as well, so we might see something like that playing into it. I don't think Sceptile gets Focus Energy. No, it doesn't. It doesn't get Focus Energy, which is nice, but hey, we might even see Focus Blast, even though I just accidentally clicked that, because that is some nice high base 120 special damage right there. And if we do see that, well, at least it's 70 accuracy, but I think what we might potentially see here is either a specially oriented Sceptile going for raw damage with special attacks. We might see a mixed attacker here, and we might even see a bit of a setup sweeper here. Sceptile does get Dragon Dance, which is a nice means of raising its attack and its speed. Alternatively, too, we might even see Swords Dance instead, which will give it a +2 each time it uses Swords Dance. We might even see both, so Sceptile could be a little bit on the scary front with whatever status moves they tend to give it. So I figured, well, let's just break down some other moves right here. We'll start with some status moves here. So we might see Agility, but kind of unlikely. We might see Leech Seed just for it to get a little bit of passive recovery off. As I mentioned, we might see Swords Dance. We might even see Double Team because that'll boost Sceptile's evasiveness one stage. And I honestly don't think we've seen Double Team or any evasion in these raids, so it's highly unlikely, but this might be the time that Sceptile does it. Actually, I think Greninja did it, so I think we might see potentially Double Team. We might see Screech to lower our defense 2 stages, or what we might even see is we might even see Leer. And the Leer here, the advantage it has is it is significantly more accurate, going from 85 accuracy to 100 compared to Screech, and while it does lower the target's defense only one stage, this hits the entire field, so this might be a party-wide debuff here with Leer, and then that'll also boost up its damage output on the physical side. And honestly, that's kind of all I see for potential status moves that we might see. As far as some damage moves go, we'll take the status filter out, and we'll go into the physical next. We might see Acrobatics. We did see this with Rillaboom. Acrobatics will double in power if the user doesn't have an item, which Acrobatics is unburdened. They naturally synergize pretty good, so we could potentially still see Acrobatics even if Unburdened's not going to be really doing that much. We might see Brick Break to destroy any potential Light Screen or Reflect that we want to do. As I mentioned, it does have Earthquake, which can hit things relatively hard. We might even see a Drain Punch for it to get a little bit of HP back on the physical side, and we might see either Leaf Blade for some Grass-type damage or even Dragon Claw, which I'm pretty sure Sceptile does get Dragon Claw. I think I just went past it. Yeah, so Sceptile does get Dragon Claw, so it does have a physical Dragon-type stab option as well. And honestly, I think that's what we might potentially see for some physical moves. As far as the special moves go too, we might even see Giga Drain, since Giga Drain would be basically the same idea as Drain Punch, but just a Grass-type stab move that can recover back some HP. As I mentioned, we could potentially see the Leaf Storm. We might see a double up of Leaf Storm and Energy Ball. This thing might spam a lot more Energy Balls and then go for the odd Leaf Storm depending on the intervals for the raid, so we could see something like that. And then what we might see is we might even see something like, say, Dragon Breath. It's significantly weaker than Dragon Pulse, but it does have a 30% chance to cause paralysis, so that could be a potential threat to just slow down our momentum. So Dragon Breath could potentially be there as well. I don't think we'll see Vacuum Wave, but Vacuum Wave is a little bit of a priority right there in fighting type coverage, so if you want to throw a Steel type there, you might see a Vacuum Wave, which could be a little bit bad, but I don't think we're going to see it per se. I think we'll more likely see Focus Blast than anything else. So as far as special damage goes, I can definitely see Dragon Pulse, Energy Ball, Leaf Storm, Giga Drain, and Focus Blast. We might even see Terra Blast, potentially, but I don't think so. So overall, as far as some damage moves goes, I think we're going to want to build specially defensive Pokemon and then just try to be able to focus on either doing special damage to Sceptile and just weaken its special defense, or we focus on the physical side. So as far as the 3 Pokemon that I was thinking of for trying to deal with Sceptile, I think Hisuian Goodra, Azumarill, and Farigiraf could be good. And let's start off with the Hisuian Goodra. This thing gets access to Acid Spray, which is great for lowering Sceptile's special defense. It's going to be a guaranteed -2 drop, and because this is a damaging move, we don't have to worry about the shield nullifying that. And on top of that, we're going to be building up our Terra Charge. We can use Life Dew here to provide a little bit of support to Goodra as well as the rest of the field by giving us back a quarter of our max HP. And then once we've softened up Sceptile, we can primarily focus on doing some damage with maybe, say, Dragon Pulse or a different coverage option. I have Dragon Pulse here since Goodra will have Stab on it. And we could also go for, say, maybe Ice Beam, since that'll still do super effective damage, and maybe we could go for that, get the free chance. We could also double up between Dragon Pulse and Ice Beam. We could also go Terra Blast, because what I was thinking too is Terra Fairy Goodra is going to be really nice here, since we'll be able to have an immunity straight up to Dragon type attacks, and with the Sap Sipper ability, Goodra has a natural immunity to grass type damage, while also giving it a +1 to its attack stat. So what we could do for the last and final move is we could either go for a supportive move to boost up our stats. We could potentially go for Acid Armor, which I'm pretty sure you do need to get this off of a Sliggoo before you evolve the Goodra. If not, you could go for Shelter. Either way, both moves raise your defense 2 stages, so that could give you a little bit of some primary defenses to deal with the Sceptile. We can get the Shelter off, get our defense up 2 stages, and then we can whittle down Sceptile's special defense with Acid Spray, and then go for our primary damage move of choice. We're going to have a Shell Bell here on the Goodra, and then this way too, Goodra will get back a little bit of HP as it does damage, and then that way we don't need to primarily rely on Life Dew and Heal Cheers, so we do have that for Goodra. Also, you could pair, if you're playing online with friends, you could have someone that brings maybe Light Screen and Reflect support, maybe in a Spafra as well. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyways, you go for Lumina Crash, get this thing down on the special defense side, get these screens up, and then let Goodra just do its thing. Because you do have the Sap Sipper, you could also maybe say go for a physical damaging move instead. You could go for Iron Head, which would naturally benefit from Steel type stab. You could also go for Ice Spinner, which will be guaranteed super effective damage into the Dragon type Sceptile. So you could do something like that, or maybe you just want to go for the Body Press route. You go for Body Press and then have, say, Shelter or Acid Armor to boost up your defense. That could work too. I think Goodra could be a really, really good option. As far as some EVs go, max HP, 144 special attack, and 112 special defense. And the main reason why I was thinking this particular spread, we're going to try to get as much bulk into Goodra as possible. We're going to go for that max HP. And then with the special defense, we have a base 150 at level 100 with 112 EVs and a Calm Nature. Will hit 400 special defense, which means if the Sceptile is mixed, it'll probably have to go for some physical damage. So if you want to run, say, the Shelter or have a Reflect partner, Goodra's not going to be taking much damage on the physical front either. We can soften it up with the Acid Spray and just have the rest of the EVs into that special attack to capitalize on the fact that we are lowering Sceptile's special defense and just go for some big damage. Now let's move on to Azumarill. Azumarill here is going to have the benefit of Sap Sipper as well, since that will give it an immunity to grass type attacks, so we don't have to worry about our water typing. And then with Azumarill's fairy typing here, we're naturally immune to dragon type attacks. Now this might be potentially why the Sceptile could potentially have a Thunder Punch just to hit Azumarill, just to make it a little bit more difficult, but I think Azumarill could be really nice here. We go for our max HP and our max attack because 50 is not the highest attack right there, but if we run Belly Drum, we can cut half of our HP to maximize our attack, go up to +6, and then we have the Shell Bell to recover back some damage as we recover back some HP as we inflict damage onto Sceptile. We have Play Rough here for the Fairy type stab, which is going to be relatively nice. And we also have a 10% chance to lower Sceptile's attack by 1, so if this thing is mixed, great. We have that working in our favor. Azumarill does get Light Screen as well, so we could also relieve some pressure off of our partners by throwing up that Light Screen to have the amount of damage coming from special attacks. And then I was just thinking this could be a little bit handy. I don't necessarily think it's going to be the strongest thing, but you could run Mud Slap on Azumarill, which is going to be a guaranteed accuracy drop into Sceptile, and because it also does a tiny little bit of damage, this is going to build up the Terra Charge. So what I was thinking is you could run the Azumarill, go for a Light Screen, go for 3 Mud Slaps, and then depending on where you are as far as your HP goes, you might have to go for a Heal Cheer. You can click the Belly Drum and then maximize your attack. And with the accuracy drops from the Mud Slap, Sceptile might miss you, which could be a safe opportunity to go for that Belly Drum. And then you go for that Play Rough, especially if you go Terra Fairy, and double your stab output, damage output on that. And then Play Rough is just going to absolutely blow this thing up, and you're going to get back a lot of HP off of the Shell Bell. But if you're a little bit weary of that, you could also run a Citrus Berry instead, and then that way too, you'll get a quarter of your HP back when you hit half or less. So if you're fortunate enough and you dodge the attack when you go for the belly drum, thanks to Mud Slap drops, the Citrus Berry will proc, you'll get some more HP back, and then you can go for the Play Rough and just do some big damage that way instead. And finally, let's talk about Farigiraf. Farigiraf is also another Sap Sipper Pokemon, and you might have caught one by accident if you were trying to get one for VGC or singles, and you went and did a raid, and then you ended up with Sap Sipper instead of Armor Tail. So if you have a Sap Sipper for Farigiraf, this could be nice because that'll give you the nice immunity to grass type attacks. Farigiraf gets Nasty Plot, which increases your special attacks 2 stages. It also gets Amnesia, which increases your special defense 2 stages. You have the light screen right there. You pop the Terra Fairy, and you just hit this thing with a +6 boosted Dazzling Gleam. I don't necessarily know if this is going to work, but I thought it would be kind of funny to throw out there. And as I mentioned too, maybe if you're playing online, the Spafra with a Lumina Crash, that could be nice, because Lumina Crash is also a -2 drop into the special defense. So maybe if you're playing with friends, a speed boosting a Spafra with Reflect could be really nice, as well as a light screen. And then the other thing too is I'm pretty sure this thing gets Roost. It does. So you could have a nice little support option with a Spafra if you're playing online with friends. And then one other bonus thing too is going back to the Charizard days, because this raid really feels similar to what the 7-star Charizard was like. You could maybe go for a Fluttermane build, and this will mainly work if this is just a special Sceptile, which is why I didn't really include this right out of the gate. But what you could do is you can go max special defense, max special attack, throw a modest nature on this thing, throw Draining Kiss on there for some HP recovery, Calm Mind, and then you could go for Moonblast just to get some major damage. And you can go from there. Like, you could have, say, you could maybe go for a Citrus Berry, and then that way too you'll get back a little bit of HP. And the other thing too is you also want Fake Tears. Fake Tears will also lower this thing's special defense. So you could potentially go back to the similar strategy from the Charizard idea if this is a purely special attacking raid boss. So anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble on about this Sceptile raid. A little bit different from the battle content and the regular discussion videos, but hey, Sceptile the Unrivaled is a Pokemon that does pique my interest, because Sceptile is one of my favorite Pokemon, so just kind of wanted to talk about it. Anyways, that's about it. See you next time.